Hello and welcome to another Gameplay Monday on a Tuesday, and in this special edition we're going to be looking at how you can absolutely dominate a game and hard carry despite the jungle XP nerfs, and we are going to focus on the core aspects of what junglers are using in the high MMRs to hard carry their games, and of course you can use these methods in any elo that you are in, but despite these experience nerfs you can still impact the game in a controlling way. It's just a case of how you change your approach to do so. Now for this gameplay, we will be focusing on the Evelynn. She does play against the Zac, who also does a good job himself, but the goal here in this game is to focus on that early to mid dominance and finally really opening up the game with a specific approach that I've used myself and that others have also used in the higher MMRs. And once again, this video is brought to you by quarterback.gg, where I have a club, and for this week there is a special event going on. If you become club champion, you will receive 15 QB coins per trophy you get for the club, and then you can do the quick maths to figure out how many more skins you can get with that bonus, including Silas and his brand new skin as it was just released. And thanks to the new duo feature from Quarterback, you can actually do challenges with someone from the club as well as one of your friends, so it's a great way for us to get up the leaderboard even faster. And if you're not in the club, you can click the link in the description below to help us decimate all the other content creators in the name of Odin. And now onto the gameplay. Both junglers starting in the red buffs, looping around to Krugs as is standard now. The experience nerfs haven't changed the early jungle routes, the Scuttle Crab is still the focus, and vertical jungling is still prevalent. And of course level 2 ganks, level 3 ganks have really not gone away. The early pressure is still tantamount to being successful in the jungle. Now Evelynn does a full top side clear before moving to the bottom side jungle, where Zac did attempt a cheeky gank on the bottom side. And now it's really worth noting that this Evelynn play is master tier and has been playing Evelynn almost exclusively to climb and win quite a lot. And the way he does it is with insane amounts of early pressure and continuous presence in the lanes. He is very smooth and efficient with everything he does, and we're going to look at the full process in this game. But the point being, after taking that Scuttle Crab, it goes straight for a gank. Now the only reason this is thwarted is because of an excellent ward by the Zac's team in the river that lets him set up a nice counter gank, given that he also did a full clear of his bottom side jungle. And this in turn puts him in prime position to pick up that kill and save his laner. Now, you've heard the term of XP soaking from lanes. That's definitely hugely beneficial now with those experience nerfs on the jungle camps. So when you can hold the lane like this, it's actually really beneficial to do so. You don't want to disappear off into your own jungle again. Save the tower from being hit a bit, grab those golds and experiences, get yourself whatever experience lead you can. Now both junglers have unique ganking abilities, Evelynn with her post 6 camouflage, Zac with his long range slingshot on his E, and even though at early levels it isn't really too long range, it still gives him enough of a leap to surprise the enemy top lane Riven and grabbing up another kill. So he's had 3 ganks, 1 on each lane, including that counter gank on the mid lane, whereas Evelynn has not had as much pressure and is instead focused on clearing her jungle, going back, and now already clearing her second Krug spawn. And that's when you will notice those experience nerfs a little bit. They definitely do not give you that XP boom because of the 30% reduction the first time you take Krugs. Usually the second time you took it really gave you a good feel of a boost of experience. Now with those nerfs you really don't get that same oomph. Now Zac stays with the Scion to push the wave a bit, get a ding on the tower planing to grab themselves 80 gold apiece, and Evelynn uses this time knowing he's on the top side and will have his delayed back, taking her top side camps again. And because she knew Zac started on that red side, immediately she heads there after a drive-by in the mid lane to take his red side camps again. This is really important for someone looking for that level 6 spike, but it isn't as much of a detriment as in the previous patches to tank junglers because, well, your whole goal here is pressure and ganking. You're not too much concerned with those experience levels and gold levels because you can thrive even while being a bit behind. So the fact that carry junglers can take your camps without sort of escalating their lead to levels that completely render you useless is quite nice. And so far, while Evelynn farmed, Zac ganked. Now while Zac farms, Evelynn ganks. She uses her level 6 spike on the mid lane and holds her ultimate as much as she can. It gets a little close, but she's able to survive. And then after that, while Zac is now walking back to take his Krugs and a second red spawn, Evelynn heads to the top side and grabs a kill on the Scion as well. So overall, a net neutral power play for both junglers, both getting decent farm, both getting some lane experience from their ganks and also getting some kills. As I said, what you're looking for here is a lot of pressure in this new jungle. You want to be ganking. And now after a bit of a peaceful second round of clears, Evelynn decides it's time to really put the foot to the neck, as it were. She moves on down to the bottom side. Her bot lane has been a bit behind but have done very well for themselves, so she is able to be in great position to conduct a early tower dive. And you'll notice as she makes her way down, she doesn't do a blue buff, she doesn't do a camps and then go to gank. She looks at the pressure and the moves there before. She knows she can fall back to those camps after the ganking pressure in the bottom lane. And so the time pressure now is capitalizing on the current state of the lane, which it may not be that way in 30 seconds. So Evelynn knows that Kai'Sa is going to come back, and this is a very common cheese strategy with Twitch, with Evelynn, with Shaco. You want to be able to collapse on them before they get to the tower. You can sort of sit in the middle of the towers, and as they show up, you engage, chunk them. Maybe you get a kill if they don't have any summoner spells, but in this case, Kai'Sa is able to just get out. Pyke does a funny thing with his ultimate where he misses, and even though it's a bit of a messy execution, they wait for the minion wave and they're able to grab both kills. And that's one of the best ways to shut down a lane. If someone just went back to buy and they're coming back to their lane after losing maybe a wave or two, now will you show up and chunk them and send them all the way back by being dead? That's really a huge swing in your team's favor. It's a lot of downtime for the enemy lane and a lot of uptime for your lane. Zac knows this, and of course sequencing your camps and taking them efficiently and in order to maximize whatever experience you can get in the jungle is still vital, but there isn't as much of a loss if you lose camps and counter jungling. So Zac now, because he's on the bottom side, Evelynn's gone back to base after doing her blue side jungle, he knows he needs to have some kind of impact on this bottom lane because Kai'Sa just lost a lot of income from the Evelynn presence. He's sitting in the lane to conduct a lane gank, Sylas has come down to gank, and because the red team didn't know Zac was there, he's in prime position for that excellent counter gank. This lane gives them advantage and priority over the mountain dragon, so while Evelynn is clearing from top to bottom again, she does show up. Gragas decides he's gonna save the day, but it's Evelynn and she times her ultimate very well to secure that kill, and Zac's team is able to grab a dragon. Nice bot lane play, got an objective. However, the Evelynn is back on the bottom side, and because she is Evelynn, can clear camps much faster, has a much bigger unseen threat, which is saying something considering Zac's angles that he can use to gank. Just the camouflage and speed and power of Evelynn's damage really is a huge quantity you have to factor into your entire game when you're facing such a champion. And this is where you really want to try and break the game open. The enemy support has gone back to base, you know Zac's most likely on his red buff, or farming to heal up a little bit from that mountain take. You can go and 3v1 the enemy ADC and suppress him even more and then try for that first tower. Zac, because of his passive, does come in to thwart that attempt. His blobbies get activated and he's able to actually save that first brick gold. Or so he thinks. What did I tell you guys? You need to change the way you play just a little bit to hard carry, and ever presence in a lane, being obnoxious and just sticking around to secure objectives, feed on the enemy's bodies, and basically just really irritate the laners by never leaving. And because you're Evelynn and you can heal up and you have camo, it's much easier than if you're another champion. But I've done the same thing with Volibear with Virkayu. When you have a lot of CC and ganking power, you can really get in there and just repeat the process over and over again. Because the 2-minute 30 timers on the camp respawning, and you know the enemy jungler is not going to be able to take them given where he just was, and even if he does go take your topside camps, so what? You just got more kills, burnt more sums, and because of your annoyance in that lane, grabbed another double kill and the first tower gold. You can try and figure out which one would be more important, even if Evelynn did lose their red buff, for example. It's not a difficult decision. If you are a fast farmer like Evelynn, you want to be able to spam gank and camp a lane, pick a lane to camp, and just repeat and abuse. If you are against a jungler that's weaker than you and your lanes are ahead, go and invade, steal his camps, kill him 1v1, get the vision down. The name of the game for this jungle meta, given that our experience levels will be lower slightly than what they used to be, is to be significantly more proactive in your early and mid game focus. And all while Evelynn was doing this, Zac was farming. He wasn't really doing anything to take something away from her, to take something away from her team, to give something to his team. And Evelynn had just made the bigger impact play and made the decision to really tilt the enemy bot lane and get her team a couple thousand gold ahead at a crucial stage in this game. Zac does head topside, he gets a gank off, he gets some kills there, but there's been a switch around and Evelynn can now begin to roam a bit more freely. She can take her camps fast and then immediately join action, and you'll notice while I'm speaking what's happening on the screen, there's a lot of skirmishing around and it's really messy, but Evelynn is moving into the enemy's areas, getting wards down, clearing vision, staying hidden when she can, and pouncing on enemies who don't think she's still there. The Zac is trying his best to make things happen. He had a really good first couple, 5-6 minutes, but you want to keep up that pressure, revisit those lanes you ganked and burned summoners from, rather than necessarily farm and then gank, farm and then gank. And you'll notice how a lot of people, perhaps when they have these games, even in, gold, silver, whatever, they get these leads and then they fall back into this habit of, now I've got to farm my jungle again, clear all the camps, perhaps, set up some vision. Watch what the Evelynn's doing. She's just looking for kills. She's taking their farm to deny them, she's clearing their vision, she's getting control of the map, and she's making assassinations when people show up out of place. Too often I see people falling back to clear their cams, slowly pushing waves. No, go live in their jungle, punish out of position, and then take objectives from those kills. This Evelynn does a great job of doing that every single game, and this game right here is actually pretty much over. The Evelynn has assassinated everyone on the map multiple times already. Huge item spikes, dominating vision control, and you can say, well, the Zac did everything well, what could he have done differently? Well, not too much overall, but perhaps better vision control, perhaps setting up those counter ganks, knowing the Evelynn's going to spam gank that bottom lane, hanging around a bit more. That can make all the difference in the world, rather than necessarily ganking once and then going back to take your Krugs or Raptors and so on. So Evelynn's team go ahead and take that Baron, and basically it's a very boring end to the game. They finish off of that. But I want to show you very quickly an early game where the same Evelynn player exerts a different amount of pressure on the map. In that I mean she exerts more. What happens is, after Red, Krugs, and Scuttle, the pathing chosen purely because the Scion had indicated Aurelia had warded their defensive tribush, meaning if Evelynn had gone over the top after Krugs, she would have been detected. In this way, she's able to sneak up from behind, grab a kill, and because of her passive, heal up just enough that when the Aurelia stupidly TPs back into lane, laners, come on guys, stop doing this. If you die doing this, it's 100% on you. You don't get to say, oh, better jungler wins. And after that, watch the sequencing of camps. She is able to take her Raptors, fall to the bottom side of the map. She knows her blue is gone, but it really doesn't matter because of the double kill on the top lane. If Sejuani took her red and then Raptors, the Raptors will be up again, so she can take the second spawn Raptors from Sejuani plus her first spawn Krugs, then go back to base at level 5 already despite the nerfs. The fact that Evelynn was able to get lane experience, 2 kills, plus counter jungle, and take her own jungle completely supersedes losing her blue buff to the typical vertical jungling practices that have developed. And because of this very fluid and decisive and pressure-orientated playstyle, she gets level 6 and can go back to top lane, grab another kill, and basically, what is Aurelia going to do versus Scion now? He's much stronger, Evelynn is fed, and Evelynn does do a few ganks in the bottom lane. There is a bit of a few skirmishes, not everything goes super well, but she's still exerting pressure. She gets a gank off on the Morgana, for example, and then what happens is, a few minutes later, she heads to the top side again, and Scion and Aurelia kill each other off, and while the enemy jungler really hasn't had an impact, hasn't been able to get anything going purely because you as Evelynn are taking the camps, you're spam ganking one lane, your location remains hidden, you can go sneak that Rift Herald as well, and that is an absolutely hugely powerful objective that people are not using enough, considering you can solo take that much earlier than you usually think. This gives her and the Malzahar prime response to a gank on the mid lane, and now you can see the Evelynn is 2 levels above the Sejuani, who's only level 7, and a lot of players who are saying, well, I'm really behind in experience, I'm noticing these nerfs so heavily. Well, look at the difference between the Evelynn and the fact that I just didn't talk about the Sejuani whatsoever. In both these games, that pressure, the lane camping, and the speed at which she makes decisions, and counter jungles, as well as ganks, really is the big difference between good junglers and bad junglers on this current patch. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're able to learn something about how you need to really play with much more designated purpose in the new jungle. Using Evelynn is a great choice. You can really hard carry games with that. Please consider liking, commenting, and sharing if you learned something. Maybe join us on YouTube, kind of like Twitch subbing, to become a member. Subscribe for more League of Legends and jungle guides coming very soon. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.